this lesson, I'm going to teach you a very important tech concept that plays a vital role in business strategy. And that's the concept of APIs. And honestly, once you understand what APIs are, you are going to see them everywhere because they are everywhere. And also, you will see the different ways in which companies use them to grow their revenues significantly, increase their customer base, and also promote their brand. So it's a really, really useful concept to know. You've actually already probably used an API today, maybe without knowing it. You know, when you log into something, either with Facebook or with Google, so like maybe you're logging into your meditation app with Facebook. So basically there's, I don't know, Calm, the meditation app, that's one company. And then you're logging in with Facebook, that's another company. And that bit that says log in with Facebook, that is enabled through an API. So that's what we're going to cover today. And if this is the first time you've seen me, hello, I am Sophia Matveeva. I'm the CEO and founder of Tech for Non-Techies, an executive education and coaching company. I started my career in the media, then I worked in private equity and got my MBA at Chicago Booth. That's one of the top business schools in the world. And that's where I started my first technology company as a non-technical founder. And that's where a lot of the ideas for Tech for Non-Techies came from. And fast forward many years, Tech for Non-Techies classes today, they've been taught at Techstars, at Oxford University, at London Business School, and many more elite institutions worldwide. But anyway, back to this lesson. APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. But honestly, you will never use the full term, so you might as well just forget it now. So the way we're going to do this lesson is that I'm going to teach you the technology bit first, and then I'll show you how that technology concept is being used in business. Because remember, technology is always a tool. Like, we don't want tech for tech's sake. If you're going to invest in technology, you always want to understand what kind of outcome it's going to drive. Okay, so the tech bit. The first thing that you need to know is that most apps and most sites have basically two major bits, the front end and the back end. The back end, it's kind of like the foundation of a house. You don't see it, it's deep, it has to be created first, and basically it is really, really important. If you don't have the back end, if you don't have that foundation, basically you can't build the rest. And you'll often hear people refer to the back end and the server as the same concept. It's actually slightly different, but a lot of the time the concepts are interchangeable. So basically backend and server side can be interchangeable. So basically what I want you to know is that the backend, because it's the foundation, like the foundation of a house, you are not going to really interact with it. As a human, you're only going to interact with the front end. So basically in practice, as a human, you're interacting with the front end. The backend is basically where the magic happens. So what does that mean for API? So let's imagine that I am sending you a message on WhatsApp. So what happens is that I take out my phone, I write you a message, I open up WhatsApp, I write you a message, hello, and then I press send. So I send the message on my phone. Basically, when I'm writing that message, I'm interacting with the front end because I'm a human. Unless you have any doubts. So basically humans can only interact with front end. So basically when I'm writing my message, I'm interacting with the front end. Then I press send. And then that message goes from my front end to the back end. And that's where on the WhatsApp back end, WhatsApp is figuring out, okay, who am I sending my message to? And imagine there are, I think, billions of users now on WhatsApp. So basically WhatsApp then figures out, the WhatsApp backend figures out that I'm sending my message to you, and then it pushes it out of its server, out of its backend, over to you. And then you get that ping that says you've got a message from Sophia. Hopefully you'll open it with great anticipation. And when you get that message and you can see it, basically that's your front end talking to you. So basically my message goes front end, back end, and then your front end. So that's quite a big concept to explain very, very quickly, and I'll do more lessons on this to go further. And there are actually more lessons on this There are a lot of free tech lessons on the Tech for Non-Techies podcast. So if you want to go deeper on this, there's a hell of a lot of stuff on the Tech for Non-Techies podcast, and it is all free. So go check that out. Anyway, so what I just described, that WhatsApp message sending, that has literally happened within the fraction of a second, which is, I think that's just amazing. It's human ingenuity. Anyway, so what I want you to see here is, you know, when the message goes to the server and the server is figuring out which one of the billions of users to send my message to, well, that is amazing processing capacity. That's like really, really clever stuff. And that's what happens on the server side. So the way I, as a non-technical person, the way I think about servers is that they're like this amazing brain. They're like the super genius brain that is constantly processing information and basically deciding where that information goes. So that is this amazing, amazing brain. However, imagine if like somebody just has this brain, which is the processing mechanism, but they have no way of getting that information out. So the brain is the processing mechanism, but we need sensory organs to get information out, right? So we have a brain. In order for me to tell you what's in my brain, I need to use my mouth or my hands. In order for you to consume this information coming out of my brain to yours, in order for your brain to receive it, you need your eyes, you need your ears, right? So you need sensory organs. So the way I think about it is that the API is this bit that connects the processing mechanism out to the wider world. Because as we said, basically servers are these amazing processing mechanisms, but they are basically too complicated to communicate with normal humans. So in order for that communication to come out, you need this application processing interface. So the way I think about it as a non-techie, and if you're not a technical person, I suggest you think about it this way too, is that the server is the brain and APIs are the ears, the mouth, the eyes of that server. So basically, in order for your server to talk to other servers, so like if you are Calm and you want your server to speak to the Facebook server so people can log in, those two servers need to have their own API connection. So server to server has to be an API. But also server to front end, so maybe the Calm server to the Calm user if you're actually using it to meditate, then that's going to be an API going from the server and over to you. So basically APIs allow servers to communicate, and that is the tech bit done. As I said, there are many more episodes on this on the Tech for Non-Techies podcast, so if you're getting confused with the technology, then go there. But honestly, as a general understanding, this is pretty good. If you're a total novice, this is really good. Okay, now let's talk about how that actually relates to business. What makes the concept of APIs really exciting to me, a business person, is that APIs allow products and businesses to integrate with each other. You know when you take an Uber and you basically see where the little car is moving? That is within Google Maps. So basically Uber is using Google Maps. So that is an example of one major tech company working with another tech company. And you know what? They are not doing this for free. So basically, within 3 years, Google got paid $58 million by Uber for Google Maps. So basically, Uber was paying Google Maps $58 million between 2016 to 2018. And that is a lot of money. And that makes sense, right? Like Uber doesn't want to create its own maps. So essentially they're renting somebody else's knowledge, they're renting the capacity of somebody else's product. APIs are not only about revenue generation, it can also be about data gathering. So for example, Facebook really wants to know where you are, where you're going and where you've been, because the more data they have about you, the better, more relevant advertising they can serve you, and then, the more money they can make. So essentially, they're not necessarily selling the login with Facebook functionality, but they want to know where you're logging in. Because for example, if Facebook thinks that you're married, and then all of a sudden you log in with Facebook to Tinder, then Facebook's going to think, okay, well, this is interesting. We're going to start, you know, instead of showing them all this kind of, I don't know, married people stuff, romantic restaurants, we're going to show them, I don't know, hot outfits and trips to Ibiza. I just made that up. I don't know. But anyway, you see my point. Facebook is giving out that login with Facebook API for free because they want to know what you're up to so they can serve you better advertising. So essentially what you need to see, now that you understand what an API is, that is the snippet of code that connects the server to another computer, and that it's basically a bit of code that connects one company to another company. Now that you know that, you can think, okay, well, how are we going to use an API to grow? Because it could be for revenue, it could be for data, it could be for branding, it could be for visibility, it could be for all sorts of things. So basically what I suggest you do is that next time you open up an app, basically see what other products are in there. Because through that, you will be able to see, okay, where is this company using APIs? So for example, let's take Uber again. So there's Google Maps in there, but how did you log in to Uber? Was it through Facebook or Apple maybe? Okay, so that's another API. How did you pay? Did you pay via PayPal? Maybe that's another API. So essentially you can have a product that has lots and lots and lots of interconnections with other tech companies, and that's essentially what makes it good. So there are some apps that are literally just a smart stitching together of APIs, which is product innovation, but not necessarily technical innovation. So if you are building something, then I want you to think about how could you use APIs to grow? Question one for you to think about is, what functionality are you building that could be useful to other products? And this is like Google. So Google created Google Maps, and now it's useful to all sorts of other products. So that is another interesting revenue stream for them and another visibility stream for them. Okay, that's just one. Number two, how can you build APIs that help promote our brand? Which is, again, kind of like the Google example. Yes, they're monetizing for some, they're not necessarily monetizing for others, but essentially the more Google is everywhere, the more they're basically getting free advertising space. And advertising is expensive, let me tell you. Okay, number three, how can you build APIs to grow your user base? This is interesting. So are there things that you can do that essentially allow your product to sync into another product, that when people are in that product, they think, oh, this is cool, what's this company doing? Let me go and use that. So I hope this explanation has clarified to you what this mysterious term APIs is, and given you some examples of how companies use it, why they use it, and given you some ways to think about it yourself. If you're a business leader who wants to thrive in the digital age, which I'm assuming you are because you have just watched the video on APIs and business strategy, then I suggest that you get my free guide to the top 10 technology concepts all business leaders need to know. It is free, it is brilliant, I'm really, really proud of it, and the link to that is in the notes below. And you know what I also really love? If you found this video useful, then please press a like. Literally just move your thumb once, it's going to make a really nice difference. And if you want to be extra delightful, then just write me a comment and tell me how you found this video helpful. Thank you and have a wonderful day.